And I don't know if that's enough, because they were talking about like, this isn't just like putting a plant on your desk. This is like getting a fern and like having to like move it every time you want to sit into your desk. This is creating, you know, ventilation in your room so that you're only getting like natural air.
Okay, I'm willing to do the second thing.
And that's been a big thing that's happened with COVID too. Is like,
really?
Oh, I mean, I feel like a lot of buildings, office spaces, I know airplanes, you know, they started opening up all the windows and putting in fresh air, which I think it's a easy thing to do. And I think past this pandemic, it should be something that continues to happen, just because having that fresh air is going to be good for people.
You know, I remember hearing actually about during the pandemic that, like, you know, get more, what's it called? Get more circulation by opening up your windows and stuff. It helps with the virus. Like, just sort of clear it out if it's in the air. I don't know, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. But, I feel like that's something that you should have been doing the whole time. This is something that's been interesting to me. I've really noticed in this past year how non-biophilic the people have become due to the world we live in now. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly indoor exposure, right? I mean, there's a very small amount of outdoor exposure, and it's like if we had created this biophilic, you know, systems and infrastructure the whole time, the cases could have been down the whole time.
And I wonder, you know, here's a question. Do you feel like, okay, here first let's talk about me. So my grandparents on both sides were farmers, right? Mm-hmm. That's recent in the grand scheme of things in comparison to the average person in the United States.
Yeah, sure.
That's pretty recent. So my parents had to deal with their parents being farmers, right?
Had to deal with their parents being
no,
farmers.
sorry. Like, I didn't mean deal.
I know what you mean though. Like
they experienced that sort of, like,
open
the windows, like all that, open the window. What are you doing? Why are we sitting? What we doing watching the TV? Like yeah. That kind of stuff.
So they
right?
had it rough, yeah.
I don't know if like had it rough, but I'm saying they were more tailored. I've heard a lot of the things in the past year that was pitched as like, oh, you know, you should go on walks and go outside and open your windows. I'm like, is this fucking... What?
This isn't new. Right? This is just what we should have always been doing.
I was like, is this new? And then I'm like, well, maybe because I'm a little closer in the amount of generations to, like, you know, if I was born 40 years earlier, mm-hmm. or 50 years earlier, I would have been my parents. And then, like, I would have had the direct, you know, situation where I don't know about you, like, your heritage, but, you know, at some point, like, everyone was pretty much farmers, right? Like, sure, that's kind of where I'm getting at. Yeah. Like, every family's had like they had to fend for themselves, because post hunter gathering, everyone's like, wait a second, we can grow this. Right. That's dope.
That's a good point. Everybody had to be a farmer at some point.
Yeah. So it's like, we can grow this. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
And I'm not that far from it. Like olive farms in Greece, mm-hmm. Granted, the family, I don't know if they're still running. Another story for another day. But then on the Italian side, they just fended for food, and that's how they fended for food. Like, right. And it's like, I wonder whether since we've gone in our jobs away from needing to be in nature, that we've associated a lot of these things as not being necessary.
I don't know about not necessary. I mean, I think that...
Well, but I genuinely know people are like, why would I open my window?
That's a good point. I think that people would find it unproductive. Maybe not necessary, but, you know, like if you're studying outside and the wind blows, it's going to turn your page. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if it's raining, that's kind of hard to study.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just mean, like, in their living environment or in their working environment, they just don't. People think, oh, no, I should keep my windows closed. Just use the AC.
Right.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're saying. I think that we just created this idea of what's going to be productive, and it's just avoiding nature and all of its, you know, distractions and determinants from being productive. But when we realize that through psychoanalysis and studies that it's actually going to be way better for your well-being and happiness. I mean, there was even another study that was saying that the fluorescent lights in our offices create so many headaches, and headaches is something that's associated with heart disease, that the number of heart disease in this country is just, I think it's like the number 1 or 2 leading cause of death. And it's like,
I think it's like 1 heart disease, 2, I think automobile accidents are up there. And then like cancer's in the top 5. But I was very surprised when I heard a couple years ago it's heart disease number 1.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and part of the reason being is that we've created this environment that just isn't good for us and is literally hurting our hearts. And when you have employees passing at younger ages from heart disease, I mean, what is that saying to your productivity? That's just terrible, you know?
Yeah, and it's like even further with the biophilic ideas, you know, we have offices that we sit all the time at, and we sit all the time. And like before I run, until like recently, I didn't realize you should probably activate your glutes because you kind of ruin that activation because of all the sitting we do. And it's just crazy to me. Like the standing desk craze has been good, I think, for health for the most part.
Definitely, yeah.
But that along with the lighting, I mean, that's crazy that we've really hurt ourselves like this.
Yeah, sitting's a new smoking, man.
Yeah, that's a saying. That's a saying. I've heard it. I think Dwight, I actually did, and I've been like doing that thing where I watch videos. And, it's bad. Dwight like got a mega desk by like putting a bunch of the he put his desk on top, and he was like sings this new smoking gym.
I'm serious. I think there was a study that said that if you sit for, it was either 2 or 4 hours a day, like you're decreasing your life expectancy. It was a number where I was like, there's no way I sit less than that number per day.
Oh yeah, and that's sad when that happens.
It's terrible.
It's sad when you realize that like you're in that demographic that's in this study. However, you know, is this study? I've always wondered, does our activity level counteract this?
Yeah,
I'm hoping. The Lord knows I'm hoping.
And that would get back to the whole, you know, like just use your free time to, you know, discharge from all this wiring that the systems have installed into you. Just like go out in nature for like an hour, get like a nice view, and, you know, get like some dopamine flowing, and like, you know, it'll counteract that headache you just got from the fluorescent lighting. I don't know if I fully believe that like that would be enough with the amount of time that people are spending at work and with the habits that we've created for our free time, where we're also being removed from nature.
Yeah, and that's sad. But here's a question, by the way, because this just kind of occurred to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, is laying down count in this? Like the setting's different than laying down, or what?
I don't know if either would really count, because it's more of creating the environment, whereas I guess sitting versus standing, right, is actually part of your environment, because it's how you interact with either a chair or just a desk.
I'm being like specific in regards to that study about the 2 to 4 hours thing, because I'm just,
you're talking about the sitting.
I'm just like, you know, like, am I laying? If I watch a movie, am I a part of this statistic?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Because like,
yeah.
Because like, when someone's watching a movie, if they're in a crowded couch, they're sitting, or they're laying down via having their legs propped up. Does that count?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because if it does, then that's a lot of time standing, and I'd be exhausted. Another thing.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, that's ridiculous amount of standing.
But back in the day, it probably wasn't, because people just stood all the time.
Why would we want to? Honestly, like, what would make you want to sit in the hut? Like, that just sounds like, I know it's grimy, the world they lived in general, but it's just like, yeah, I gotta go lay down, or I gotta go sit in this hut. Like, oh boy.
Yeah, exactly. It was a necessity for shelter. It wasn't the leisure.
Yeah. Well, leisure's a new thing. I guess that's true. I didn't even think about that when I was making I thought I was making like this weird good argument, like, yo, if we all watch movies, we die early. How does that work when, you know, like life expectancy's going up? That medicine's gotten better. So I just strawmanned myself. But the I was like, strawman, but that was like how to strawman yourself in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
But you know, it did make me question, like, since leisure has, you know, increased, even though, health benefits and stuff have increased, like our life expectancy has gone up. We don't have, but then again, it's like you could You know, you don't have to worry about nowadays. You don't have to worry about like a lion just like as you're crossing the street, just coming out of nowhere and killing you.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a clear advantage to shelter, but I think that the issue is that we've just separated ourselves so far
Yeah.
from like the bare necessity of shelter. Like, of course, you don't want lions coming in.
Okay, so I want you to imagine this. One of our roommates has AirPods in all the time. I just want you to imagine him walking outside and just with his AirPods frozen. And like, I'm talking like the animation that happens in movies where like something just like completely jumps and throws itself at something else. Just imagine he turns left outside and walking out the door where the gates are.
There's a lion.
Just
We're not equipped for it, man. We're not.
That was a real possibility back in the day. You walk out your hut. Oh, what's up, bear? Oh, what's up, lion? Oh, what's up, tiger?
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Oh, that's funny, man.
Just imagining him. It's so funny. Not that he's dying, but you get what I mean.
Another point I was thinking about that you mentioned with the AirPods and how we're so unequipped for nature now with our AirPods.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes back to the one we were talking about, how music can affect your productivity. I wonder if bird noises or nature noises, like, you know, sometimes they'll have like lo-fi with like a little bit of rain in the back, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I wonder if that, I mean, it's been shown that it increases your happiness and well-being if you're listening to bird noises versus office noises.
Mm.
But I wonder if that would be even better than music at getting you into some kind of productive flow state, just like birds or the ocean.
I feel like it's like, and we're going to learn about this more when we talk about digital minimalism in a couple episodes, but I feel like you got to definitely break through this barrier that we've been trained into, right? Where music makes more sense. Music feels better because of the upbringings we had. And we grew up in the generation where we've had stimulation nonstop. Like if you wanted to, or I wanted to, we could have our phone plugged in, and then we have portable hair. Basically, we can have something going on nonstop.
Right.
In a reasonable fashion and have a normal day outside of needing to have interaction and talking. Like we can just be stimulated nonstop. And I was thinking about this too when you brought up the whole like rain versus whatever versus normal music. Mm-hmm. When I was going through and making that study playlist on my phone, you know, like the long tracks.
Yeah.
I had a couple nature ones that I was just like, I don't know if I can focus to this, which makes me think now. It's like, is it because I'm wired like that? If I powered through, would I be able to get back? Because I fall into the, I mean, dude, I literally listen to The Office in the background. Like I fall into that category of like the stimulation. If it's not going, I get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, it's crazy that we just can't sit in silence, or even like the thing I was saying with like the ocean bothering me is that there was always so much change. It wasn't a consistent.
If you want to see this episode or any other episode of the Rise Productive Podcast, make sure to go and check the show out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else that you can find podcasts today.